Jack from the house that Jack built was onto something. Wait, that sounds very just not correct without the context. Obviously, he was like an excruciatingly terrible person and so unlikable in every way possible. On top of the fact that he was literally a, you know, like he did that to people, multiple people, and we don't like him. We hate him, as a matter of fact. So there's that. But there's a scene in this movie that stood out to me. It was like a deeper look into his mind. At least that's how I perceived it. For the people who haven't already watched this movie, and honestly, like if we're being real here, I'm very happy for those who have not experienced this movie. I mean, it's Lars von Trier, you know, that guy, that controversial guy. You know, his direction and writing, plus like the concept of like cereal boxes, Cheerios. I'm gonna call those people Cheerios from now on. Like, of course, it's gonna be so like unnerving, which this movie so was. Just to give you like a solid idea of what's going on here in one sentence, this man turned a titty into a wallet. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what's going on here. Anyways, this one is about a guy who essentially becomes a Cheerio, and we go through some of his incidents, which is literally what they're called in the movie. He also has pretty severe OCD, which becomes a shortcoming of his at times. He does this to a lady and goes back and forth from his car back to the scene, just out of the paranoia that he's left behind some boo-boo juice. Boo-boo liquid, if you will. I'm really trying to be safe here. I'm a new channel and everything, so I'm really trying to like keep things good, you know. Love you, YouTube. Please love me back. For one of the incidents, he like is so close to getting caught by a cop. Like so close. If you've never been at the edge of your seat before because of a movie, like this will probably do it to you. It's just like the sense of like it felt so real. Like he was so close to getting caught. And at a point, like he literally took the body out of the car trunk, like with the cop like a few feet away in the house, and like it was so like such a hair away. Something about this movie that I found frustrating, but in a way that worked for the movie, was the way he did a lot of his stuff in broad daylight. Like he was just doing his thing, you know, whether he was doing this to someone or if he was just like doing like really sus stuff. A lot of it like took place in broad daylight, and it like hurt me to see that. Like it was so annoying. Like I wanted him to get caught so badly, and he was confronted by the police multiple times. At one point, a girl straight up went to the cops and told him that there's a Cheerio in our presence, so please do something about it. And the cop was like, oh, you're drunk, like you should stop drinking. And I'm like, man, come on, dude, like work with us here, do your job, you know, like come on. To be honest, I couldn't help but think that the reason he got away with so much stuff is because he kind of looks like a normal looking white dude. So there's that, but that's a whole other conversation. That really is so much there to unpack. But the scene in particular that had me all sorts of messed up is the scene in which he's in a relationship with a girl, Jacqueline. He physically, verbally abuses her. He is just overall an asshole, honestly. Jack is so bad. Such a bad person. He basically straight up tells her that he's 60 people and that that number would soon become 61. That's what he told her. And at first she took it as a joke. He was dead serious. Sis, I'm sorry, but yeah, like he was being for real there. And she caught on to that, and he tells her to scream. Like he orders her to call for help, to scream out the window, scream at the top of her lungs, and he helps her. Like he straight up screams along with her. You know, he was showing her that no one cares. the people around in the apartment complex won't go out of their way to try to save the day. Most people do not care or care enough to involve themselves in the situation. And it became kind of a look into how society functions a lot of the time. Like when confronted with a situation that you don't have to directly deal with, you don't have to intervene, but you know something's up. If you feel like you don't have to get involved, like, you don't do it. You're thinking like, oh, the next person will help. The next person will stop and help that person or whatever. And like the problem is most people are saying that about the next person, and we don't get anything done. And this is a problem in society with a lot of stuff, environmentalism, socio-economic, political issues and stuff. Like it's a very prominent thing. Through this, it's almost as if Jack subconsciously like wants to get caught, like deep down inside, whether it be like some sort of beacon of hope for humanity. Even though he's like a terrible person, he maybe deep down wants better for everyone, or because he subconsciously wants to put a stop to all his shenanigans, subconsciously, because like he knows he won't get caught, but like he at least deeply understands there's a problem with that. So like he wants to get caught to prove himself wrong in that way. Either way, I think it's sadly really interesting, but like also really frustrating how they managed to write Jack's character in such an unlikable way while still creating like this almost like sliver of hope, like the sense of hope and almost like humanity deep down inside of his character, even though he's being a Cheerio and just overall such a shitty person. There's like this very underlying, like, at least that's how I read into it. There's like this deep sense of like hope in there, and like he wants us to get better as a whole. And it messed me up mentally because you're not supposed to have anything positive to say about these characters and this and that, but like humans are complex. Yeah, that's my take on the house that Jack built. Grumpy. Oh no, Grumpy.